Hello friends! This week I'm going to share with you all of the books that I read in January. I had a really good reading month. I ended up actually reading 20 books, and there's a lot to get through. So I think the next time I have this many books, I don't think it'll be every month, but I think next time I'm going to do like a mid-month wrap-up, just so that there's, this is going to be an adventure to edit. So it was a really good reading month. Like I said, 20 books. There were actually only 2 3-star books and everything else was a 4 and 5-star. So, I picked really good books this month. Really good books. I'm so proud of myself for that fact. So to start off with, I read The Schemer by Avery Flynn. This is the 3rd book in her Harbor City series, and so I've actually completed this series now. This is about Tyler and Everly, who are downstairs, upstairs neighbors. And they do not get along. They antagonize each other a lot and kind of pick on each other. And Tyler ends up needing Everly's help with something. And he's got to figure out a way to, get her past all of the, bantery stuff. I enjoyed this book so much. I gave it 4 stars. I really like Avery Flynn's romantic comedies. And I think she just balances out romance, comedy, and, steaminess. So yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. Next up, I read I Dare You by Ilsa Madden Mills. I gave this one 4 stars as well. This is about Delaney and Maverick, and Delaney has an issue not taking dares from people. And Maverick is, was he the quarterback? No. I don't know. He was on the football team. I forget what exactly he played. But for their, homecoming week, they have this, dare bet thing. I don't know what to call it. Essentially, teammates would dare somebody else to do something, and they would have to do it, and they'd get points for that. Anyway, he actually dares her to spend the night with him, and even though she knows she shouldn't, yeah. I liked this one a lot. It is super short, so it's a really easy read. I like Ilsa Madden Mills' writing. I've read her Dirty English, Filthy English duology as well, and I really want to pick up more books by her. My first 5-star read of the year, I was super excited about this one. I actually ended up reading this all in a day. I went to work that morning. I got off at 1 o'clock, and football playoffs were happening, and my team was in it, and they had a Saturday game, and I actually got home from work, took a 30-minute nap, and then started reading this book, and I read this while, avoiding the stress of the football game. Anyway, I read Gypsy King by Daphne Perry. This is the first in her 10 Gypsy series. Like I said, I gave this one 5 stars, and I completely adored this book. This is about Bryce and Dash. Bryce is she's a journalist, but she's not, she's trying to be more investigative journalist than this small town newspaper really needs. But she ends up deciding that she's going to be researching the former motorcycle club that used to kind of rule the area. And Dash was the president of the motorcycle club when they were still a thing, but they're not anymore. And there ends up being a murder, and Bryce and Dash team up to kind of figure out what happened. And this was very, I don't really want to call it fast-paced because it wasn't action-packed, but it was super, I had to know what was happening next. I could not put it down for anything. Next, I continued on with Ilsa Madden Mills, and I read I Bet You. I gave this one 4 stars as well. This one is about Penelope and Riker. Riker is the best friend from the first book, and he bets her that he can get the guy she's crushing on to fall for her, but in the midst of that, he falls for her, and she falls for him. And again, I adored this one as well. Riker and Penelope had a bit of a past from events that happened in the first one, so I won't spoil that. But there was a lot of really, bantery things that happened between them, and I loved it. I was all about the banter in this one, so 4 stars. Next, I got a little bit emotional, and I read The Ones Who Got Away by Ronnie Lauren. This is book 1 in the Ones Who Got Away series. I gave this one 5 stars. This is about Liv and Finn, who, when they were in high school, they kind of had a secret relationship because they were from different sides of the track, or whatever you want to call it. And then, I think it was at their senior prom, some of their classmates ended up bringing guns and shooting a bunch of their classmates. And so they are the ones who got away from the school shooting. And they haven't seen each other since, and they've been really not dealing with some of this PTSD that they've had since the shooting. And I really enjoyed this one. It was super emotional, but I really enjoyed that they still, this is gonna sound bad, I really enjoyed they still had issues, but they not only worked on them together, I also felt like they worked on them separately, but also, like they had the help of the other one, like, pushing them to do what it was they were trying to do, pushing them to make themselves better. I really enjoyed that, so I did give this one 5 stars. Next, I read Someday Someday by Emma Scott. This was another super emotional book. I gave this one 4 stars. This is about Max and Silas, and I don't want to tell you too much about what's happening in this book because I really think that, I really think you just need to read it. Max is a nurse, and he's had a really tough life since coming out as a teenager, and he ends up getting a job working for this rich family taking care of a sick father, and he ends up running into Silas, who he has met before, who has also had a really tough life since coming out. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to say too much. If you're interested at all in this book, just pick it up and read it. I think it was well worth it. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. There were just a couple of nitpicky things that I had that bothered me in the book, but overall it was wonderful. Next, I read The Governess Game by Tessa Dare. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. This is about Alexandra and Chase, and Alexandra is someone who goes around and, makes sure all the clocks in the house are on, actual time. And she ends up at this house, but Chase thinks that she is applying to be the governess for the 2 little girls that he has just recently become the guardian of. And due to an accident, she ends up accepting the job and becoming the governess, and they fall in love while they're taking care of these little girls, and she's kind of showing him, what girls need, and yeah, I don't know. It was cute. I liked it. I don't know if it's been my favorite historical romance, but I did give it 4 stars. I do think it's I do think it was a good story. Next, I read Say You'll Stay by Corinne Michaels. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. This is about Presley and Zach, and at the beginning of the book, Presley finds out that her husband has committed suicide, and that she is, really in debt because of her husband. He wasn't making good financial decisions for their family. So she and her 2 young sons move back to her hometown, where she does not expect to find her high school sweetheart, Zach. I really enjoyed this. The second chance romance, I really liked the fact that they had other lives while they were apart. It wasn't just pining over the other person. I really enjoyed that they kind of grew into who they needed to be in order to be together, if that makes sense. It makes sense in my head, but I don't know if I'm saying it the way I'm trying to. Anyway, I really enjoyed this one. I did give it 4 stars. I have the next one in the series that I cannot wait to get to as well. Next, I read Sway by Adriana Locke. This is book 1 in the Landry family series. I wish I had the rest of this series in paperback, but you're gonna find that I read, I think, everything in the series that's out. This one is about Barrett and Allison, and I don't even remember, they met at a charity event or something. He's the mayor and she was on the waitress staff or something. I forget exactly how they met. But she is a single mother and he is the mayor, and he's thinking about running for governor, and yeah, this was just, I adored this. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed the series. I really like Adriana Locke's writing. So, I'm gonna have to get the rest of this series. Gonna go ahead and continue on with that part. I read Swing by Adriana Locke, book 2 in the Landry family series. It's about Barrett's brother Lincoln, and he is a professional baseball player, but he is injured, And while he's at the hospital for rehab one day, he ends up running into Danielle, who works at the hospital in like a children's charity type place. I forget what exactly it was she did. But she has a bunch of past issues with baseball players, and so he's got to convince her that he is worth spending time with. And I adored this. I also read Switch by Adriana Locke, book 3 in the Landry family series. This is about Graham and Mallory, and Graham is kind of the, like, businessy brother of the Landry family, and Mallory ends up getting hired to be his secretary, personal assistant. I forget what exactly the title was. And, yeah. I liked this one a lot. I did give it 4 stars. I gave all the books in the series 4 stars, in case I don't mention that. But I really liked the boss secretary thing. I don't know. I know this is not the first book I read with that trope in it, but I just really liked it in this one. I don't know. It was a thing. I read Swear by Adriana Locke. This is book 4 in the series, and this is about Ford and Ellie, and this was a second chance romance because when they were in high school, they were together, and then Ford joined the military and left, and Ellie went off to college and everything, and now they're both back in town. She's trying to open up a clothing boutique, and he is kind of manipulated to go and give security advice to this person opening this boutique, and it ends up being her. I also read Swink, which is book 5 in the series, and it is about one of the Landry sisters, Camilla. And kind of throughout the other books in the series, her brothers have kind of hounded her about the secret relationship that she's been in, but she doesn't ever want to tell them anything. And in this one, she finally convinces Dominic that she wants to include him in the other parts of her life that he doesn't ever really get to be a part of. And I did not enjoy this. I still gave this one 4 stars, but I did not enjoy this one as much. I think because they were already in a relationship at the beginning of the book. And I just really wanted, like, they told us how they met. I just really wanted to, like, see it. And you didn't really get to do that. So, that was my one, like, issue with this book. But, okay, moving on from that one series, I read One of Us Is Next by Karen M. McManus. This is the sequel to One of Us Is Lying. This was actually only a 3-star for me. This is about the younger sibling of one of the characters in One of Us Is Lying. And I just really felt like it was trying too hard to be One of Us Is Lying. I don't know. I don't want to spoil too much because it is like a YA mystery, but I just felt like it was trying too hard to be like the first book, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be new mysteries, new stuff, and it just wasn't what I wanted it to be, so I did only give it a 3-star. I read Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. This is about Rosie and Dominic, who have been married, I forget for how long. I forget how long they've been married, but since coming back from being enlisted, Dominic has had some, like, communication issues, and Rosie just doesn't know how to deal with it. And so she finally just gets to the point where she asks him for a divorce and leaves. And then Dominic kind of, like, wakes up from his, like, stupor that he's been in and decides that he's going to get his wife back. And she tells him that the only way that that is even a possibility is if they go to a therapist. And their therapist was hilarious. It was like a new age type situation, and I loved the therapist a lot. I loved Rosie and Dominic. I liked that they actually, like, really worked on issues. It wasn't just like they have this issue, oh, she's crazy for thinking that. Oh, yeah, I'm crazy for thinking that. Or, like, vice versa. It wasn't just something where it was like, oh, he could do this better. And then he's all like, yeah, I could do this better. They actually worked on, like, how to get to that point. So, yes, I loved this one. I did give it 5 stars. I cannot wait to meet Tessa Bailey at a Polycon. I'm taking this one and fix her up. I'm so excited. I read Charmed Souls by Abby Glines. This is book 1. I guess it's just called the Charmed Souls series? I don't know. This was a paranormal witchy book. This is about Catalina, who grew up in a family of witches. She's always known that's what she was, but things kind of start happening that are not as, they're not as textbook witchy as they should be in her life, and she ends up meeting a guy who she's always tried to stay away from them because part of her family's power is, like, drawing men in and, like, ruining them, basically. So she tries to stay away from him, but obviously she can't. I don't know how to describe this book. It was good. I gave it 4 stars. I also read Echoes Between Us by Katie McGarry. This was her newest release. This is about Veronica and Sawyer. Veronica has known for a while that she has a brain tumor, and she's been keeping it quiet that she thinks it's getting worse. And Sawyer is, I don't think it ever really said it, but he's basically an adrenaline junkie. He jumps off cliffs, and that's kind of how he gets his high. They end up Sawyer's family actually ends up moving into the apartment below Veronica's, and they've known each other, but they haven't, like, been friends. And so I don't know how to describe this book without giving too much away. But basically they go on this, like, ghost hunting adventure for a school project and end up really connecting while they're doing this. And I really liked this book. I love this cover as well. The colors of it are just super pretty. But yes, I gave this one 4 stars. I did really like it. I read Tomboy by Avery Flynn. This is book 3 in her Hardigan series. This is about Fallon and Zach. Fallon is a nurse and Zach is a hockey player on the town's, like, professional team. She ends up being enlisted by her friend, who is also his PR person, to like, take care of him while he's sick. They think he has the flu. They do not connect at all. They had a very bantery not really hate, but, like, dislike of each other. And this book was so funny. I gave this one 4 stars. Something that I really like about this series is that they're not, like, typical heroines. The first one is Butterface. The second one is Muffin Top. This one is Tomboy. They're not, like, they're not typical heroines, and I really liked that. I think I said I gave this one 4 stars, right? This one was a new release, and it is the sequel to Gypsy King. I read Riven Night by Devney Perry. I gave this one 4 stars. I didn't feel as connected to this romance as I did to the romance in the first one, but this is about Genevieve and Isaiah. Isaiah is somebody who was not part of the motorcycle club, but he works in their repair garage with them. And Genevieve is actually the daughter of the woman who was killed in the first book. Did I say there was a murder? Did I just spoil something? No, surely not. Anyway, Genevieve and Isaiah kind of have a secret that they are trying to keep, so they end up getting married because she has studied law, so, like, she knows that if they're married, she doesn't have to, like, testify against him. So this one is a marriage of convenience story, and I did really like it. I liked the added elements to the whole, like, mystery continued on from the first one, but I just wasn't all about the romance in this one as I was the next one. I don't know, something about it just didn't connect for me the same way. Finally, the last book that I read was Midnight Games by Elle Kennedy. This is book 3, I believe, in her Killer Instinct series. I gave this one 5 stars. This is a couple that we've been waiting for since book 1. Isabel and Trevor. Trevor is on the mercenary team, and Isabel works for the, like, women's spy assassin thing that's going on. They met in the first book, and she ended up saving his life. They worked together again in the second one, and I thought that they were going to be, like, there in the second one, and then she ended up getting scared and running away, and this is them coming back together and having a new job to take care of. I loved Trevor and Isabel together. I loved seeing all the other characters and kind of getting glimpses of which of those are going to get together. There was just one small issue that I had, and it had nothing to do with them. It was 2 other people hooking up, and I'm like, no, that's not the one you're supposed to be hooking up with. That's just not how it's supposed to happen. But yeah, that was my only issue with the book, and it wasn't even about them, so I did still give it 5 stars. Those are the books that I read in the month of January. How did you do this for your reading month? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!